jump right into this explainer. We're looking at a sudden, frankly, massive policy shift in New Brunswick that is abruptly rewriting the rules for Canadian permanent residency in 2026. Now, we all know Canada's immigration system's constantly evolving, right? But this latest move, it caught a lot of folks totally off guard, completely reshaping the odds for thousands of applicants in the blink of an eye.
Here's the kicker. Between April 30th and May 3rd, the province issued 373 invitations across their key pathways. Sounds great, right? But this wasn't your standard round of approvals. Not even close. These invites came bundled with a highly restrictive catch, taking effect immediately. So, overnight, some applicants are skyrocketing to the top of the pile, while others are literally finding themselves locked out.
Just look at how fast this evolved. On May 1st, we saw targeted healthcare draws. Okay, makes sense. 2 days later, on May 3rd, a final all-sector draw, and then bam, peaking right after that, a major restriction locked into place on May 4th, effectively slamming the door on several occupation categories without any real warning.
To make sense of all this, we're going to navigate this logically. We'll start with the New Brunswick policy shift, move into a skilled worker breakdown, analyze the strategic initiative focus, check out the express entry boost, look at the Atlantic immigration details, and finally, wrap up with what this means for the future of immigration.
Okay, Section 1, the New Brunswick policy shift.
Let's start right at the top of the funnel with the breaking news everyone's talking about, this abrupt restriction to the New Brunswick experience pathway. Because nomination spaces are so incredibly tight right now, the province just completely axed broad general draws. Before May 4th, all sectors were fair game. After May 4th, only 3 targeted occupations are eligible until further notice: healthcare, education, and construction trades. If you're working outside those 3 fields, you're pretty much out of luck for an invite right now. It's a massive narrowing of the funnel.
Moving on to Section 2, Skilled Worker Stream Breakdown.
Let's dive into the hard data and see how those 373 total invitations were actually carved out during that tiny window. The overwhelming majority, 200 of them, went straight to the skilled worker stream. This targets foreign workers already holding a job or a valid job offer right there in New Brunswick. After that, we've got 106 for the Strategic Initiative, 50 for the Atlantic Immigration Program, and a very exclusive 17 for Express Entry.
Breaking down that big block of 200, we saw 87 healthcare-specific invites on May 1st, then came a final 113 all-sector invites on May 3rd. And you know, that May 3rd draw is incredibly significant now, simply because it was the final round, at least for the foreseeable future, where all occupations were actually eligible before the lockdown hit.
All right, Section 3, Strategic Initiative Focus.
The second largest chunk of invites fell under the Strategic Initiative stream, securing 106 spots. Now, the province hasn't released the exact pathway breakdown here, but we do know this stream explicitly targets French-speaking candidates across all sectors. This is a highly deliberate move by the province to bolster Francophone communities and plug regional workforce gaps with talent already tied to New Brunswick.
Next up, Section 4, Express Entry Boost.
Over in the Express Entry stream, only 17 invitations were handed out, but man, the reward for getting one is absolutely massive. Securing a provincial nomination through this stream gives candidates a whopping 600 additional CRS points. 600! That kind of jump essentially guarantees an invitation to apply for permanent residence in future federal Express Entry draws. It's a total fast-track pass.
But to grab that 600-point golden ticket under the Employment in New Brunswick pathway, you really have to prove your ties to the province. Candidates typically need to have lived in New Brunswick for at least 12 months, be currently working full-time in a skilled, non-seasonal job, and have already banked at least 1 year of eligible local work experience. So yeah, they demand a really serious commitment to the provincial economy.
Moving to Section 5, Atlantic Immigration Program Details.
This brings us to our final specific stream, the Atlantic Immigration Program, or AIP. They issued 50 invitations targeting transportation, manufacturing, and construction trades on May 1st. Now, unlike the strictly provincial pathways we just talked about, the AIP is heavily employer-driven and spans 4 different Atlantic provinces. And what makes it really unique is that it's open to foreign nationals completely outside of Canada who might have 0 prior Canadian work experience.
To qualify for the AIB, though, you've got to check some pretty strict boxes. The bedrock is securing a valid job offer from a designated employer. Once you have that, you still need the right language scores, relevant education credentials, work experience that directly relates to your job offer, and, this is absolutely crucial, a formal provincial endorsement. It is a highly coordinated dance between you, the employer, and the province.
But we have to talk about a major pain point here for AIP applicants. Federal processing times for permanent residents through the AIP are currently estimated at a staggering 40 months. Let that sink in. That's over 3 years of waiting in total limbo after you've already jumped through all those regulatory hoops.
Thankfully, there is a bit of a workaround to that bottleneck. Some eligible candidates can actually secure a temporary 2-year work permit. This is huge because it allows them to legally enter the country, start working for their designated employer, and actually build a life while they wait out that extremely long federal backlog for permanent status.
Finally, Section 6, Future of Canadian Immigration.
Let's step back for a second. What does this localized shakeup reveal about the macro trends for Canada overall? Well, this sudden pivot isn't just a New Brunswick thing. It highlights a clear national shift in 2026 priorities. We are moving aggressively away from broad general intake and pivoting hard toward critical shortages in key sectors. Moving forward, the true VIPs of the Canadian immigration system are going to be healthcare workers, education professionals, construction tradespeople, and French-speaking candidates.
So, with the permanent residency landscape restricting this rapidly and spaces becoming so highly targeted, you've got to take a hard look at your own profile. Is your strategy actually aligned with these new priorities, or are you banking on general pathways that could literally close their doors tomorrow? The landscape is shifting fast beneath our feet. Are you prepared to pivot with it?